up Jesus Christ. And we thank you for that in your holy name. Amen. Can we prop that door open and get cross breeze? This morning I'm going to speak about search engine praying. Search engine praying, okay? And I want you to make a deal with God or a promise with God and have this concept in your mind. Now, a search engine targets certain words that you type in, like on your phone or your computer or your iPad. And then that search engine finds words that it can adapt to or connect with and then send back to you information about what you typed in. For example, if you type in, I always get Harley Davidson ads. I'll enjoy the new bike. And so Harley Davidson ads keep popping up no matter what I'm typing in now, because I've typed in Harley Davidson enough times that the search engine, when I turn my phone on, goes and finds a Harley advertisement. Same way if you look for a winter coat, type in winter coat, and all of a sudden you see this whole list that you can then open up. But the more you open up, then the more that search engine multiplies and brings you other advertisements for winter coats. And they'll do that for a month or two. And then finally, if you don't type it in, you're typing in other searches, they'll start popping up. Well, that's what a search engine does. It reaches out and connects with anything associated with the words that you typed in. Now, coming back from Whiteface one winter, we stayed in a hotel up there, and on the way back, my phone pops up, rate this hotel, these hotels. And it was one, I said, oh, look, Kathy, it's the hotel we stayed in, and they wanted, and so I rated 5 stars. Then another one popped up right after that, and it happened to be a hotel we stayed in Cape Cod. I said, look, both our hotels are in here, and I rated that. Then one pops up that we stayed at on the way to Dallas, then one that was in Dallas, and I started looking, just flicking through, and it wasn't saying rate other hotels as well. It was only the list of hotels that we had stayed in for over 2 years. I go, whoa, and I turn that off. If you don't think Big Brother's out there, they can tell you what kind of toothpaste you use, okay? So anything you type in, any computer you type in, any credit card you use, it goes to search engines to relate with who or what you're looking for. Now, one way of fulfilling the Great Commission is Mark 16:15. And the Great Commission said, go you into all the world and preach the gospel, and those that believe shall be saved, and those that do not believe shall be damned. So how are we to go into all the world? We say, well, you got this little world, and you do, it's your little circle, your little, where you live. That's your little world. But you can reach out of that world with search engine praying, okay? And I'm going to show you how to do that. Statistics tell us that the average person knows 600 people. The average person knows 600 people. In search engine praying, as I thought about this, then, for example, if I pray for the church, then in the church, I automatically pray for the leaders. So we have Kevin, Mark, Wendy, Chris. And when I pray for them, now this is the mindset I want you to start having. I'm not praying for 4 people. Because of the search engine praying, I'm praying for Kevin and Melissa and 3 children, and I'm also praying for their ministries And for the 3 children, I'm praying for any relationship or spouse they have or going to have. So I'm praying for either a spouse possibly, or I'm praying for a job for them. I'm praying for direction, for encouragement, for strength, okay? And all I did, because I made this search engine promise with God, I said, God, when I say I'm praying for Kevin, I'm praying for Melissa and the 3 children and the grandchildren and their schools. And, okay, you see how far out I can go by just praying for Kevin? Now, eventually, I was praying for all of them individually, and it's like, you talk about praying without ceasing. It's going to go on and on and on. All right? So then when I pray for Mark, who do I pray for? I pray for Mary, and I pray for 3 sons and a daughter. And by the way, I'm praying for all of his jobs and his ministry. And I'm praying for the children, for their schools, and for their jobs, and for their spouses that either are or going to be, and their grandkids. Well, you say they don't have any yet, but I'm already praying for them. You see, if you really believe in prayer and what prayer will do, you're praying on down the line. It's biblical. For the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th generation, you can bless or you can curse. And you see that in family structure. I know I'm blessed because of my father. I know I'm blessed because of his father. I know I'm blessed because of my mother's parents. I know that and it comes down the line. So I get these blessings that I didn't even deserve. I just thank God I was born into that family. And so you pass blessings on, but you also pass cursings on, and whether you like it or not. And so you'll see attitudes. We have a comic we read recently, and the woman says something to somebody, and she says, "Did my mother just come out of my mouth?" That happened with Rachel, and she said, "I sounded like you." Okay, we pass ourselves on to our children, the good, the bad, and the indifferent. And so what the goal is for the Christian is to pass godliness on, and now catch this, and know that we're passing godliness on. And so we're praying for our children, or the children we're going to have, or their children and their children, even before you even know if they even are going to have any. And so what happens then? Of course, I pray for Wendy, and sure enough, who else do I pray for? Lewis, and their 2, and their relationships, and their jobs, and, same with Chris, Alma, and the children there on both sides, and their relationships. And so what I'm doing, not even really knowing all of them, now I know more of Alma's than Chris's, but I've met them, and it's like I'm praying into their lives when I don't even know where they are. Some of these people, I don't even know who they are. I know names, but I'm praying godliness into them. And you say, well, how do you pray for people like that? What we need to end up praying is, I pray for grace of God in their life. Now it's because of love, okay? But we're hearing so much about love that you break that down, love works in different areas. And so what I pray is grace in all these people's lives. Grace. Grace that sustains, grace that upholds, grace that leads them, grace that protects them, grace that encourages them. All these biblical truths, when I have this search engine praying, then when I pray for one person, I'm praying for how many? Now, if the average person knows 600 people, and everybody here starts praying for everybody you know, how many thousands are we praying for? Go ye into all the world, and you don't even know where they are. I don't even know where these people are. I mean, I kind of know where most of them are, but I don't even know their names. But I know because of the Father, or because of the person I know, they're being blessed because God hears all of our prayers. So that's search engine praying. And so I pray for grace and salvation. Now, not only salvation, certainly that they meet Jesus and become saved, certainly for that, but also for the salvation of their souls, also their mind, their emotion, their will, salvation of their body, salvation of relationships. How many times, and I hear this over and over and over, families that, and we're talking about raised in church families, and they're having trouble, they're having divorces, they're having, I know families that the adult children are fighting with both their parents. I know that, and it's, whoa, wait a minute. And so I'm praying for one person, but I'm praying for all of them. So when I pray for the church leaders, but then I pray for the church, and when I pray for the church, I pray for missions, and so missions is the big one. But then I pray for Barb's Honduras, and I pray for Kevin's Pakistan, and I pray for my Melchizedek's, and now catch this. I don't know Barb's, now I know the Greens, so they automatically get prayed for. They're only 2 steps in. That's not to say anything about all of Barb's family. Okay? And I don't even list them. I just say, God, you know Barb and her family, extended family, and her children and grandchildren, and. You see how prayer see, how far can you send your prayer? God says, the Scripture says, cast your bread upon the water and it will return. Otherwise, years later, Barb's going to see, or any of these people are going to see their family blessed because of your prayers, okay? And so to say nothing about Barb and Honduras, the Greens, and then we have, 3 homes built. We've pledged 7, and you got each of those families and all of their children. You see how it's working? And we don't even know them. We'll never meet them. Kevin shows a picture every now and then of them. Or how about Kevin's vision for that church to keep that? He just wanted to support one church that multiplied into 2 quickly, that multiplied into a 3rd already, and you see their children. I was putting shoes on Saturday morning, and I thought about the little guy I pray for. He got his picture. If you look at the children that we're feeding through this church, through Pakistan, that couple has started 3 other churches. Hello, because of you. You, right here. And others will be here for the service. You're already reaching the world, and we don't even know them. But every time I get pictures of them and I see them barefoot, you realize they don't have shoes? They don't have shoes. And they don't complain. Nobody else has shoes. I've got one picture. I pray for the little guy because he's holding his hands like this, praying. And I pray for the girl. She's over here on the side. She's about that tall. And she's doing the same thing. And now they're kneeling. And then here are these 2 bare feet, little feet, sticking out with no shoes. And I call that toes. And God, I pray for toes, whoever he or she is. I can't even tell if it's a boy or a girl. But I pray for toes. Now, I pray for those 3, but I also say, God, that whole group of children that you can only see their, maybe their jacket or a sleeve in the picture or something. I pray for that whole group. But I also pray for those other, 3 churches you have started because we understood, we followed up on what David made a contact. Kevin picks it up. Kevin catches the vision. Wait a minute. David started something here, I believe, and we check that out. Is this a gimmick? Are we being ripped off? Or and Kevin checked all this out, and look what's happened now. I mean, they talk with Kevin all the time. He can't even put all the pictures up here. I mean, they're always sending. They're so excited. They're into 3 villages now that did not have a church that now has a church because of this church. So you reach out into all the world. And so what we have here is search engine praying. Search engine praying. And so what this does, it gets us out of me, myself, and I, and my family. Okay? And I've said that over and over and over. Yes, it's important to pray for me, myself, and our family. People, that's just to wake you up. That's just to say, hello, there's a world out there that God says I can send you to. Okay, so when we look at that, and then I look at the Melchizedeks. Now, I'm going to have people really, please be here on Saturday the 11th, and tell anybody in the church, that's not here, come to the picnic on Saturday the 11th. We're going to have it right outside. At least show up, meet the Greens, meet the Melchizedeks. But I'm also going to have the Melchizedeks back sometime, 3 of them especially, that have 3 ministries that are amazing. 3 ministries that are amazing. And so when I pray for the Melchizedeks, and I do that when I see Harleys go by, that's my flag. I have all kind of flags. I have a flag. I know what car most of you drive, and when I see a car like that, I pray for you. And here starts the engine again, And so when I pray for the Melchizedeks, motorcycle ministry, motorcycle club, I pray for David, and then I pray for, of course, his wife and his 2 sons, and of course, I pray for obviously their ministry, their safety on the motorcycles, the cost of the motorcycle. He's traveling all over the United States with the Melchizedeks out of their own pocket, and so a wife has to be behind them to do that. How many weekends they're gone to all these different events around, 3-state area, 4-state area regularly, and other states throughout the year. So when I pray for them, but then I also, God, you know all the Melchizedeks, you know their names and their wives and their children and their finances. That's a big thing with their finances. See, we don't support them financially. We do put them up in the hotel when they come here on the way up to so they can spend a night ahead of time instead of driving all the way to Albany to Rochester and back in one time. And so our church pays the bill to put them up in the hotel, and that's it. We don't pay for anything else. They pay for it out of their pocket. But there's also, like all the Melchizedeks, but there's 3 of them that have ministries that are unbelievable. Unbelievable. One of them has a ministry. He works at it like a helping hand. What would it be in Rochester? Open Door Mission, one of those type things. And the people there call these people that come in throwaway people. They're just throwaway. You feed them, and you make them shut up and go to bed on time, and you get them up, kick them out, so they get out of the building But he has a ministry, and they tell him, don't get personal with these people. Don't ever take them to a home. Don't take them out to eat. Once you do that, you'll never get rid of them. He takes them home all the time to his own home. He feeds them. He loves these people. And he's talking Jesus Christ straight up. Now, the other 2 are ministries like that. One of the most exciting one for me, I don't tell because we're on camera, and he travels with people that Christians don't travel with. He travels with people that are dangerous. He travels with people that, and the testimony, the testimony that these 3 have are amazing. And where did the Melchizedek start from? Right here. And listen, this church, see, a lot of you don't understand, the depth that this church has paid the price for. When you pay tithes and offerings and the leaders disperse it, thank God for Mark Reese. I mean, he knows where every dollar goes. When it's dispersed, where was I going with that? With the Melchizedeks. This goes out into the world. You go out and save the world. This has taken the gospel out to the world that Christians, quote, don't go to, nor should you be there. I'm in a magazine with a hot air balloon, which God, I heard recently, we ought to prophesy more. You ought to You ought to prophesy more in the church. What do you think this building is? It's a prophecy fulfilled. I'll put my ministry prophecy fulfilled against any minister in town. And then that's not bragging, that's just thanking God. We have a ministry that no other ministry in town, in the nation, has. You say, well, I know a Christian that talked to a Hell's Angel. I got a kick out of that. We go to these meets. We're camping. I'm camping with them in a clothes, and it's a Christian selling jewelry. And he saw that I'm going in and out of their gate. And he leans over and he says, I talked to a Hell's Angel. I said, you did? Wow, what did he say? Well, we're camping with them. We're traveling with them. We were feeding them. It's like, see, we have a ministry, and I'm not putting other ministries down. I'm just saying, people, you don't realize the depth of spirituality, the depth of serious reaching out to the world that is happening because of this church. And it's because of your giving and tithing and you being here. And it's because of you staying here. When we started the ministry up on a hill and moved downtown, we had a few families leave because they're not going down there, the mean street. When we brought bikers in, we had a homemade track passer outer. And he would come down every Wednesday night because we had church every Wednesday, Sunday and Wednesday. And he'd pass out tracts on Exchange Street. Got to lead them to the Lord Jesus Christ, personal Lord and Savior. And when the bikers came, he and his family and two others left. Now, people, these weren't fringe people. These were our people each time. What I considered our people. And I said, what? I called him by name. I said, why are you leaving? And he said, they're not going to come in here and sit by my daughters. He had two daughters the same age as my two daughters. So they left. My two daughters, by the way, end up being flower girls for the first Hell's Angel wedding we gave. Well, it's how do you raise them? Go hide or go kick down the gates of hell? You see how Christians talk a good talk? Show me, show me the money, is the saying. Show me the proof. People, our church can show the proof. It's not a typical church, but it's a serious church. And so people that stayed, remember, some of you aren't here, but remember, how many of you are here when the bikers rode their motorcycles into the sanctuary? Okay, that was a trip. That was a trip. 5 of them. And I said, people, we got bikers coming to church, and don't take pictures of them, okay? And so while we're worshiping, I see a flash go off, So I'm looking around. I'm already upset with somebody. And it's the bikers, we're worshiping the Lord. It's the bikers taking pictures. They've never seen anybody worship like that. Yeah, they're taking pictures of us. And they rode their bikes, 5 of them, and they pushed them back out of respect. They'd been in the house of God. And one of them, brakes went out on the way there. It was raining that morning. And he said, I need a miracle. My brakes went out. I said, well, we'll pray for your bike. Just kind of flip it. We'll pray for your bike. And his bike starts, and he comes back, and he says, my brakes work. It was a miracle. Well, I don't know if God healed his brakes or if they just dried out, But either way, he gave God the glory, and either way, we had bikers, and that started the bike ministry in sincerity. The chief of police, Harlow back then, I believe it was Harlow, comes Monday, because I'm in the bookstore at Sherry, and the chief of police is here, and he says, I hear you were raided yesterday. I said, yeah, we were. But we got some guys saved. What? It's like, see, it's not the typical church, but the manifestation, the results, the fruit are fantastic. It's a serious church. So when I pray for the Melchizedeks, I pray for all of these people. And what's that called? But search engine praying. Or if you look it up online, because I did some study on it, I had to ask Steve Vlasic where to look at this. A search engine, I think, spider. And it's the idea of the spider web stretching out. Once you get a spider and you leave it there, the net just goes, his web just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And so should your prayers. And so if you make a promise with God, you make a deal with God. God, really, I want you to know, when I'm praying for this one person, I really am praying for all these people. And write it down. Watch how many people you're already praying for by doing that. For example, to say nothing, and I've challenged people before, what do you call it in your phone, your directory, your contacts. Open up your phone and go down your contacts and pray for every one of them. If they're important enough to be in your contacts, they're important enough to pray. Whether it's your doctor or your hairdresser or your friend, or how about the people you forget about praying, but if you open up your contacts, look at all these people. I mean, how about open up, and I'm not on Facebook, my wife is, I don't even know how to get in. How about your Facebook people that have befriended you? Whoa, whoa. I mean, God, everybody in my Facebook and their families and how many can you pray for by just holding up your phone or your computer, your laptop, and saying, God, I pray for everyone in my Facebook. I pray for everyone that, befriended? I pray for everyone that I've befriended in the Facebook. How many hundred are you praying for? Or thousands are you praying for? Can God really do that? He said He would, that all the world be saved. And people, the prayer life you have by search engine praying. So I listed 22, and I'm not going to go through them all, but just 22 common people, places, or things that I pray for, and multiply them, and I didn't take time to do that. How about Friends Church, hospice, 21 years of hospice, teaching MCC, 14 years. I'm praying for all those kids that I had spoke to. How about the sheriff's office, the Geneva Police Department, the seminaries, the businesses? How about Wagmans? How about my barber? How about Lake Placid, Cape Cod? We're going to the Cape next month. And we have our favorite haunts that we're comfortable. How about whoever owns them, whoever we have contact with there, wherever we eat when we're on vacation? And so when I say, Lord, I pray for Cape Cod, you see the 100 of people we're praying for and we don't even know their names? Or how about this? Now here's some real biggies. Ask Governor Cuomo. He'll guarantee you that. How about the political realm? How are you praying for Republicans, for Democrats, like or don't like, independent? How about everyone in the White House? My phone's out in the car. I wish I'd brought. Kevin sent me the best picture of the White House. It's a night shot with all the lights on looking at, and I was convicted. That I've never prayed for the White House and everybody in it. Oh, I prayed for a president I like. I prayed the other one would die or get, foolish. I never stopped and prayed for the White House and everybody there. Do you think God is in control of the White House? Nobody sneaks in. Now, you say, well, is that God's will? Wait a minute. Just like Saul, he said, children of Israel, you don't want a king. Yes, we do. He's going to tax you. He's going to take your men to war. He's going to, we want a king like all the other nations. Okay, you get a king, and here came the trouble. God will work with anybody. Whoever gets in the White House, falls back. Now catch this. Falls back on the Christian. The Christian put that man or woman in the White House, or because they either prayed or failed to pray. If you really believe in the power of prayer, If you really believe that God's in control of it and God answers prayer, well, who are we hearing when we're praying for all the politicians? I never thought Como would get out of office. I thought he and his father are so entrenched, and I won't even go there. So when a complaint came up that he sexually misbehaved, I said, it'll blow over. You can't get a Como out of governor's office. Poof, he's gone. 1 week, poof. Didn't even have to go to trial. Poof. A guy can poof here and poof there. Anybody he wants. How are you praying for them? Are you praying for the new governor, the lieutenant governor? Are you praying? See, how are these newbies going to handle the corruption of New York politics? Now, people, whenever you hear a politician, and I've not heard these two say that, but I've heard them come from here going to the governor's office, or governor, yeah. Whenever you hear a politician saying, I'm going to Albany to clean up Albany, don't vote for that person. That person's so naive. That ain't happening. That is politics, corruption, as well as what they do well. But what you can do, now I'm just joking, you can go ahead and vote for anybody, okay? How much are we praying for everybody in the White House? How much are we praying for everybody in the governor's mansion? How much are we praying for? Have you been watching the foolishness of Geneva City Council? I mean, it's embarrassing sometimes. Now, they get some good things done. I really like what they've done downtown the last decade. But it's easy to mock them, especially two women, but nevertheless. But how much have you prayed for them? You see, and all you got to do, you don't have to even list their name. I mean, how many times do you list somebody's name to pray that you don't like? Come on, let's be honest. There's people we don't like. Matter of fact, there might be people you just downright despise, just like Jesus wants you to. No, he doesn't want you to. And you can pray for, Lord, I pray for the city council. And everything in the city council, every person in the city council, every issue in the city council. So those are the biggies to use in search engine praying. So in search engine praying creates, listen to this, awareness. Search engine praying creates awareness. And what you do by saying, God, I commit to this. You might even want to write a list. You can't write all these. You might want to write a list. Say, God, in my search engine praying, when I list this man, this woman, I mean all of these in their life. Okay? So search engine praying creates awareness, now catch this, that God is out there with them. Search engine praying. Pray for your job in general, and then just let that include everybody that you work with. Search engine praying. God, you know them. It brings an awareness of God. When I've started this, I've done this for a couple of weeks now, search engine praying. I'm starting to pray for people. Now, I pray often. I pray throughout the day, off and on. But now I'm getting more serious with it, and I went and I saw where Ruth Fryer runs the library in the Gorham Church, an old church that's there. But I've never been there. I know she's been there for a few years. Well, I stopped by because my wife was seeing a friend over there. So I go in, and first of all, I stop outside, and I'm looking at this old church. I think, God, how old is this church? 140, 150 years, 200? I don't know. They got a tree out there like this, you know. And I said, how many Christians have had lunch under that tree? How many kids have played Ring Around the Rosie of that? And so I'm, visualizing all this, and I'm walking up the stairs, and I think, how many pastors have gone through this door? How many people have gone through this door? How many have prayed inside? How many have had a relationship with God because of this building? And I go in, here's Ruth talking with somebody, and I start looking at it, and she offers me a cup of coffee. I said, I got to kill some time, and but you don't have a Starbucks in town. She gets me a cup of coffee, and I'm, I'm telling on Ruth here. All of a sudden I saw, here's this little minister. And I thought, I don't know how many pastors have passed through, but I know a minister that's still here. And I was just praying. I prayed for you, Ruth. I said, Lord, whoever talks to Ruth, let the Spirit of God go into them. Whoever comes into this building, whatever, answer the prayers that were prayed in this building. Now, do you see how you've multiplied? And from now on, when I pray for Ruth, I'm going to pray. I'm praying for that church and everybody that goes there to use the library or any of the activities that are there. You see how the search engine praying works. So, when you pray for someone or some group, it alters your perception of them. Now, catch that. When you pray for someone or some group, it alters your perception of them. How many of them does God care about? Every single one. How many of them does God want to be in their life? Truly be with them. Every single one. So, it brings God into the picture. How far can your search engine praying go? Better than that, how far can your search engine take you into spirituality, into expectation with God? How far does your search engine praying take God into the world? Amen? Thank you much.